Hi, parents. Have you ever asked yourself if it's even possible that our students will make a wise decision in their life? Today, we're going to talk about 6 different things that we can do as parents to help guide them in making wise decisions. The first thing that I want to just encourage us to do is to invite our kids into our own decision-making process. Now, it looks different. If you've got a preschooler or even a younger elementary age child, maybe it's just as simple as, boy, what kind of snack should we have right now? And then talk about maybe how to make a healthy decision of a snack, or what show should we watch right now? And maybe it's on what type of show they should be watching, or even going for a walk. Like, invite them into that process. Now, if you've got some older kids, maybe older elementary or middle school or high schoolers, maybe you're going to be making a purchase like a car or a home. You can invite your student into that process so they can see it modeled how to make a wise decision, to see what it means to weigh the pros and the cons. Now, it doesn't mean that they help make the decision. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. But I am saying that we can allow them into the process so then again they can begin to see how wise decisions are made. Now, the second thing that I want to encourage us to do is begin to tell stories. Some of the stories will be about us when we were their age, and most likely some of the unwise decisions we made, which are probably very similar to the decisions we see our kids making. And so they can see that mom and dad made some mistakes or made some unwise decisions, and it's sometimes easier for children to see the mistake in others than it is to see the mistake in themselves. And so they're able to kind of go, oh, that was wrong, and then they can start being able to put 2 and 2 together to realize, like, oh, then I shouldn't do that. Now, for our older students, our families that have older students, sometimes it's allowing our students to hear maybe even some of our faith journey and some of the decisions, again, that were either wise or even unwise, and what that looked like as you moved through life. Now, the other thing with telling stories is the Bible is chock full of people making decisions. Some are good decisions and wise decisions, but many of them are pretty unwise. And so turning to Scripture and even looking at those stories and seeing the unwise decision-making process, or even asking our students, now, was this wise or was this unwise? How would you have handled this? And things like that begins to help them get into the story again to where they can see it easier in others than it is themselves. And so again, they begin to see some maybe patterns on what it looks like to make wise decisions. Now, the other one that's harder for most parents is because most parents have a little bit of control issues when it comes to our kids, is we have to allow them some opportunities to make wise decisions. Now, if you've got especially those pre-K age kids, or even maybe those kindergarten or first graders that just want to dress themselves, and they're in stripes and polka dots, and they've only got one ponytail in, and they've got mismatched shoes, and you're thinking, if my kid can't make a wise decision on what to wear at age 5, how are they going to make a wise decision when they're 17 and 18 years old? Take a deep breath, because most kids, whether it be young kids or even our teens, a lot of times they need a time or two of experience before they can begin to make wiser decisions. Some kids might even need 10 times before they can make a wise decision, but we have to begin to give them opportunities. I sometimes, as a parent, want to control, or I want to just protect them, and so I will make decisions for them all too often, and yet that doesn't help them in their growth to learn how to make wise decisions. And so we need to give them those opportunities. Now, what comes in hand with that, with number 4, is allowing them to mess up. This is a hard one because our kids are going to make mistakes. And hopefully, if you've been telling stories about how you made unwise decisions or wise decisions, your students and your kids are going to see that you made mistakes as well. And so we need to allow our kids to make some mistakes. This hurts sometimes, and it makes us kind of pause and take a deep breath. But when we look through Scripture and when we look through life, we see a lot of times wisdom is gained because of a failure. And so we need to allow our kids sometimes to fail and make mistakes. And in doing so, we need to work at not shaming our kids. So as they get older, especially into their teen years, and maybe some of the mistakes are not necessarily catastrophic, but they're bigger and they have more implications, trying not to shame our kid into, sending a picture that's inappropriate or texting something that was inappropriate or, bullying somebody. Like, if we shame them, that doesn't help guide it. And so now, discipline is still okay. I'm not saying don't discipline, but we've got to learn how to guide without the shame when they make the mistakes. Now, if we're giving our kids opportunities to make wise decisions, and we're allowing them and we're allowing them to mess up, we also need to celebrate the successes. Now, this doesn't mean that you throw a party for the time that your student comes home, does homework, and then goes plays Fortnite. That's not a party time, but it is a time where you can come together and say, hey, I saw that you did your homework before you went and played Fortnite. Thanks, that's awesome. And so that's all you do right there, and that begins to just encourage them and strengthen them in making wise decisions. And so it can be a lot of different ways that we do that, but again, we need to begin to learn how to encourage them when they do do it well. Now, the other one that's sometimes trickier sometimes is teaching our kids how to ask God for wisdom. In James 1:5, it says, if anyone lacks wisdom, they should ask God, who gives lavishly. We need to begin to learn how to teach our kids how to ask God for wisdom. That as we're giving them opportunity to make wise decisions, that we can, as we're guiding that, we can say, hey, have you asked God for wisdom in this? And maybe that's a time where you take some time to pray together as they're making a decision. So then eventually, as they're making decisions on their own, they go, oh, I need to pause right here and maybe ask God for wisdom. And so the Bible is incredible, has just incredible spots about wisdom. Proverbs is basically just a book about wisdom, and it's all throughout. But again, we've got to model it. We've got to tell the stories. We need to allow the opportunities to make wise decisions. We need to allow them to mess up, but we also have to celebrate when they do it well. And again, we need to help to guide them how to ask God for wisdom as well. Hope this encourages you as you seek wisdom to guide your student in making wise decisions as well. God bless.